Taylor Swift's secret letter, a Tonight Show story. The studio lights dimmed just slightly, but it was enough. Enough for everyone in Studio 6B to realize that what started as Taylor Swift's typical Tonight Show appearance had just become something entirely different. Jimmy Fallon stood frozen behind his desk, his signature smile replaced by an expression of pure, unguarded humanity. The audience fell silent. Even the Roots stopped their gentle background rhythm. It had begun like any other Tuesday night taping. Taylor Swift had arrived gracious, witty, and ready to promote her latest album. She wore a midnight blue dress that caught the studio lights perfectly. The interview had been going flawlessly. Jimmy cracked jokes about her cats, she laughed at his impressions, and the audience was eating up every moment of their natural chemistry. "Okay, Taylor," Jimmy had said, bouncing slightly in his chair, "we're going to play a game called Fan Mail Feelings. I'm going to read some tweets from your fans, and you have to guess the emotion behind them. Sound good?" Taylor had nodded enthusiastically. "Bring it on, Fallon. I think I know my Swifties pretty well." The first few rounds had been perfect television. Jimmy read silly tweets, and Taylor played along with theatrical guesses. The audience laughed. The cameras captured every perfect angle. But then Jimmy pulled out a different card, not one from the production team's prepared stack, but something handwritten that had been handed to him during the commercial break. "Okay, this one's a little different," Jimmy said, his voice taking on a softer tone. "This isn't a tweet. This is actually a letter that was delivered to our studio today. A fan somehow found out you were going to be here, and they wanted me to read this to you." Taylor's smile remained, but something in her posture shifted. She leaned forward slightly, her hands clasping together in her lap. "Oh, wow. Okay. That's really sweet that they did that." Jimmy unfolded the letter, and as his eyes scanned the handwriting, his expression changed. The playful host demeanor flickered for just a moment. He looked up at Taylor, then back at the letter, then made a decision that would define this moment forever. "Taylor," he said quietly, "I'm going to read this, but I want you to know, this person, they really needed you to hear this." The studio atmosphere shifted. The audience sensed something was happening, something unscripted and real. The camera operators leaned in slightly. Even the production assistants in the wings stopped moving. Jimmy began to read, his voice steady but carrying new weight. "Dear Taylor, my name is Emma. I'm 16 years old, and I don't think I would be alive today if it wasn't for your music. Last year, I was in a really dark place. My parents were getting divorced, I was being bullied at school, and I felt like nobody understood me. I had written letters to everyone I cared about saying goodbye." Taylor's smile had completely disappeared. Her blue eyes fixed on Jimmy with an intensity that the cameras caught in stark detail. The studio was so quiet that the hum of the air conditioning seemed loud. Jimmy continued, his voice growing softer. "But then I heard Shake It Off on the radio, not just heard it, but really listened to the words. When you sang about staying strong and not letting people bring you down, something clicked. I realized that if Taylor Swift could face all the criticism and hate and still be herself, maybe I could too." Taylor's hands were trembling now. She pressed them together, trying to maintain composure, but tears were already forming in her eyes. "The letter goes on," Jimmy said, looking directly at Taylor now instead of the paper. "Emma says that she's not only alive, but she's thriving. She's in therapy, her grades are up, and she wants to study music therapy to help other kids like her. She says that your voice saved her life, and she wanted you to know that every song you write might be saving someone else's." "I'm sorry," Taylor whispered, her voice breaking. "I didn't expect, I never know how to handle things like this." "Don't apologize," Jimmy said softly. "This is beautiful. This is why you do what you do, right?" Taylor looked up at him, mascara slightly smudged. completely vulnerable on national television. You know what the hardest part of fame is? People think you're not real. They think you're just a product, just entertainment. But when I write songs, I'm writing about real pain, real hope, real life. And to know that Emma felt that it helped her. She paused, taking a shaky breath. The audience remained silent, hanging on every word. I get thousands of letters, she continued, and I try to read as many as I can, but I can't respond to all of them. Sometimes I lie awake at night wondering if the kids who write to me know that I care, that I see them. Jimmy leaned forward slightly. Can I tell you something? When I was Emma's age, I was struggling too. Different reasons, but I felt invisible, like nobody understood me. I used to stay up late watching Saturday Night Live, and I would think, if I could just make people laugh the way these people do, maybe I'd matter. Your music, it's like that for millions of kids. You're showing them they matter. Taylor wiped her eyes with the back of her hand, smearing her makeup slightly. I never want to let them down. Sometimes the pressure of knowing that people are counting on you, it's overwhelming. The cameras kept rolling, but everyone in the studio understood they were witnessing something transcendent. This wasn't entertainment anymore. This was humanity at its most honest. Jimmy reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out his phone. Taylor, would you be okay if we tried to call Emma? I mean, if she's watching tonight and we could somehow reach her? Taylor's eyes widened. Are you serious? Could we do that? I don't know if it'll work, but we can try. Jimmy looked directly into the camera. Emma, if you're watching this, or if anyone knows Emma who wrote this letter, we're going to try to reach you. Stay right there. Within minutes, the production team had worked their magic. Through social media posts that went instantly viral and some digital detective work, they had located Emma and her family. Her mother was reached by phone, and within 5 minutes, Emma herself was on the line. Emma? Jimmy said, holding the phone so both he and Taylor could speak into it. This is Jimmy Fallon, and I'm here with Taylor Swift. We just read your letter. Through the phone, amplified for the studio audience, came the voice of a teenage girl shaking with disbelief. Oh my God. Oh my God, is this real? Taylor, is that really you? Taylor leaned toward the phone, her voice still thick with emotion, but now filled with warmth. Emma, honey, it's really me. I just want you to know that your letter, it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard. Thank you for trusting me with your story. I can't believe this is happening, Emma said, and they could hear her crying through the phone. Taylor, I just wanted you to know that you saved my life. Your music gave me hope when I had none left. Emma, Taylor said, her voice strong and clear now, you saved your own life. You made the choice to keep going. You made the choice to get help. I'm just so honored that my music could be a small part of your journey. Jimmy wiped his own eyes, not caring that millions of viewers could see him crying on national television. Emma, you still want to study music therapy? Yes, Emma said, her voice brighter now. I want to help other kids the way Taylor helped me. Taylor looked at Jimmy, then directly into the camera. Emma, I want to help you make that happen. When you're ready for college, I want you to call my team. We're going to make sure you get to study music therapy. And Emma, I want you to promise me something. Anything, Emma whispered. Promise me you'll keep being brave. Promise me you'll keep telling your story, because there are other kids out there right now who need to hear that things get better. I promise, Emma said. Taylor, can I ask you something? Of course. Would you write a song about hope for kids like me? Taylor looked at Jimmy, then back at the camera. Emma, I'm going to do better than that. I'm going to write it with you. If you want to, we're going to write it together. The studio erupted. The audience rose to their feet in spontaneous applause, but it wasn't the typical celebrity applause. This was the sound of people witnessing something sacred, something real in a world that often felt manufactured. As the phone call ended and the show wrapped up, Jimmy and Taylor remained on the couch, both of them emotionally drained but somehow renewed. That, Jimmy said to the camera as the credits began to roll, that's why we do this. Not for the laughs, not for the ratings, but for moments like these, for Emma, and for everyone out there who needs to know they're not alone. Because sometimes a letter from a fan becomes more than fan mail. Sometimes it becomes a reminder that our stories matter, our pain has purpose, and our voices can save lives. The letter from Emma still sits framed in Taylor's home studio, next to her Grammys and Platinum records. Because those awards represent her success, but that letter represents her purpose. And in a small town in Ohio, Emma is studying music therapy, writing songs for the kids she counsels, and carrying forward the light that Taylor helped her find in her darkest moment. That's not just late-night television. That's the moment when entertainment becomes healing, when celebrity becomes connection, and when a simple letter reminds us all what really matters.